Hi guys, Steven here, back with another video. This one is titled, Have AEW Blown the MJF Tony Khan Angle? Now, it's been about 2 months now since MJF was last on AEW. It was AEW Dynamite. Hasn't been on Rampage, hasn't been on any of the other shows. And, he cut that promo. And the obviously a work shoot, yes, but it's been 2 months now, and I think that buzz that it generated at the time, it's kind of gone away now, and I think here's the problem I had. I felt at that moment, when he cut the promo, and it was a great promo. At that moment, they should have capitalized on it right away. And what I'm saying is, the week after, you have MJF, you have him back on TV, but you could have done it, that he was banned from the arena, but then he still shows up, he has a ticket, something like that, I think because from a fan's perspective, you're watching that, you're watching MJF, your promo, it's a great promo, it feels real. And at that moment, after the promo's over, it's that feeling of, I can't wait to see what he's going to do next week. That's the feeling I had. I wanted to tune in to watch Dynamite next week, the week after. I didn't really care to see all this Forbidden Door, New Japan bullshit, all the Ring of Honor bullshit now. I don't care for that. Forbidden Door bollocks, I actually wanted to see MJF, a character that I think, is a pretty entertaining character. So yeah, I think, here's the thing, a lot of people, people are, there's a lot of speculation, is this a work, is this a shoot, is that a bit of both? It goes back to, I think about, was it August, September of last year when MJF cut a promo, and he mentioned Nick Khan, and then he said something about Tony Khan. It's like, I love you, but you are just my second favorite Khan in the wrestling, and something else about having Bruce Pritchard on speed dial. He knows Bruce Pritchard from the days on that NLW promotion. And is this a bit of a work? Is this a shoot? I don't know. I think it's kind of it's him being in character. I think it's kind of like that gimmick that he has of, WWE's the big leagues, AEW, all these smart mark AEW fans are beneath me, and I want to go to the big leagues. I think that's the so I very much believe all that's a work, but maybe where, it has kind of turned real, it's become real, it's turned into a shoot, is, MJF, in his mind, is he being underpaid, that part of it very well could be a shoot, and MJF feels that he should be getting paid more. And I suppose, can you blame MJF for feeling that way? Not entirely. You can't really blame him. When you think of all the money that Tony Khan spends on talent, ridiculous amount of money, and then the roster is I just generally feel there's too many people in the roster. There's all this talent that they get, that WWE lets go, that he'll bring in right away, or almost right away, and it's just too much. But he's got the money, or his dad, should I say, has the money. They're very, very, very wealthy, and they have. It's not just wrestling; it's a few other companies. Obviously, there's Fulham Football Club. There's the Jacksonville, the Jaguars. So I think would it hurt Tony Khan's pockets too much to pay MJF? I don't know, a couple $100,000 more a year, $200,000 more a year. Probably not. But is this just 100% one big work? I don't know if it's fully a work. It was the whole thing, wasn't it, about MJF and not doing the meet and greet the night before the pay-per-view, before he had that match with Wardlow. And I suppose a lot of people were saying that Would they really do that? Would they really just have MJF not show up when these fans have paid a few $100 for these tickets? You know, they're not cheap, just so they can work them. You know, work these fans into thinking that there's some real life beef there. I don't know. Maybe there is some issues there that MJF has. You know, maybe there's some mental health problems there, and he's taking a break. But I don't know. I mean, with MJF, MJF is a great heel because MJF really has that ultimate respect for kayfabe and keeping in character. You know, he does that more than anyone. You know, you see the videos online of when he meets fans, and there's maybe is times where I think maybe he does take it too far. You know, there's been times where he's mocked people who are disabled. You know, he's flipped the middle finger to a 6-year-old kid. And that's maybe going a little bit too far. You know what I mean? Because if that's someone in WWE that did that stuff, I mean, especially with the whole Be a Star campaign, if they're mocking someone in the Make-A-Wish, if they're mocking someone who's disabled, I mean, I imagine all the fanboys, the AEW fanboys, it would be right on WWE. But, MJF does it because, oh no, he's just in character, he gets a free pass. And another thing about MJF, I think, I get the feel that MJF has rubbed people the wrong way backstage. Like, I feel that MJF, I think there's this thing that maybe he does piss off some talent. And that because he's so committed to staying in character, he maybe does take it that little bit just too far. I was just thinking about this earlier. I mean, in some respects, maybe it is kind of like MJF is like a method actor. And MJF stays in character for the most part, even, backstage, behind the scenes. And then that can piss some talent off if they try and interact with him, and then he just starts being a dick in character, talking down to them and saying insulting things. That could rub some people the wrong way, I mean, you hear that a lot about method actors. I mean, people say, like, Dustin Hoffman was a great method actor and some other people, but but then you do hear a lot of stories about method actors in Hollywood. For the most part, people thought they were assholes and that it was unnecessary, But, I mean, the thing with MJF is, I like him. I don't know if he's as good as he thinks he is, but, again, I don't know with MJF because I would have to really do some deep research, which I don't really care to do with AEW, and look at the ratings and see, break them, segment by segment to see, well, is more often or not when MJF is on, is his segment the highest rated segment or one of close to being the highest rated segments, and if that's the case, then maybe he does deserve to get paid more. He certainly, I don't know. I think obviously with that promo it was a work shoot, but maybe there's some heat there with Tony Khan because he did kind of cross the line with maybe some of the things he said. I don't know. Maybe it was. It could have been just a simple case of some of the boys in the back got a bit offended because he said, "Oh, because I don't pretend to like Japanese wrestling," But if that's how he really felt, and he was just speaking his mind, I wish more people would say that because I don't get the appeal with Japanese wrestling. It's just guys that wrestle and the whole strong style thing, which is really just code for, we're gonna actually punch and kick one another. That's really what that strong style thing means. And fucking, there's no real gimmicks and there's no real storylines. But this is the stuff that fucking guys like CM Punk and Eddie Kingston and whoever else in AEW puts up on a pedestal. But it's like, I don't get it, But, different strokes for different folks. But I feel they've blown it personally with MJF and Tony Khan. I really do. I felt with that promo that he cut, to go off like that, calling him an effing mark. First off, I don't know if I've ever, put aside, ECW. I don't think the F word, I'd ever heard that in WCW or in WWE before. I don't think so. So that, I mean, it was a good promo. And at that point, I felt like MJF at that point, he's the ultimate anti-hero at this point. He's like a fucking, then he really is like a Roddy Piper, was one of his idols. Then he's like a Stone Cold Steve Austin. And at that point, you could have a modern day Stone Cold Vince McMahon feud with MJF and Tony Khan. But you've got Tony Khan acting like how most people perceive him as kind of a nerd who's a mark for the guys like Bucks and Omega and whoever else. And then you've got him just coming off like a total square. And at the same time, he just constantly, time after time, he's just cutting him down, cutting MJF down. I mean, with that promo, I mean, I don't know I don't think they expected MJF to get cheered with that promo, But because I think in their minds, I mean, I don't think they were certainly, I don't think, were smart enough to think and had this foresight that MJF Tony Khan could be like an Austin McMahon feud, the modern day version, with MJF as the like would turn babyface and be the anti-hero, and not totally change up his ways, but at this point the crowd are cheering him though. I don't think they were smart enough to see that. But I think at the same time though, because they're so committed with this guy Wardlow and getting him over, because obviously you had Wardlow who beat MJF after giving him about 99 power bombs, and and at this point they just want to keep pushing him. But at the same time, I think they're doing a bit of a balls up at that, are they not? I mean, having him kind of like have a competitive match with Orange Cassidy. They're both baby faces. They're just pushing him to get up to the TNT title. They should have done that before with him. Push him up to the world title. But I mean, that's the thing. I think in their minds they didn't want to push MJF, do this push with MJF, because then everybody forgets about Wardlow and Wardlow squashing MJF at the pay-per-view, and this push they want to give him, at that point, it's kind of meaningless, But at the same time, they had something there with MJF and Tony Khan, and they still could have something if they pulled their finger out. But I don't know. I mean, it really does depend. Are they just that committed to making this feel like it's a shoot, or is there real heat there? And MJF really has pissed off Tony Khan and whoever else. They were, what do you call them? Executives at AEW. I can't remember the exact title those guys have, but. And you got MJF, his contract runs out. I think it's the very beginning of 2024. So there is that possibility there that he'll just sit at home all that time, and then when it turns New Year or whatever, he'll go to WWE. But that's that's still another 16, 17 months away. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a tough one. No one knows for sure, but. I mean, the thing is, if MJF goes to WWE, I mean, will he get more money than what he's getting at AEW? I mean, I guess. But I mean, yeah, well, he'll probably be that guy. It's not like they'll totally change up his gimmick. He'll still, I imagine, he's been a big enough deal that he'll get to still do the MJF gimmick in WWE. I think that should be without question. But then, if he goes to WWE, I mean, are they just gonna try and embarrass him, body him, and maybe they'll do a bit of that to start, and that'll just be their way of testing him. But I mean, in a year and a half's time, I mean, will you still have Roman there on top? Will Lesnar still be there? Because I can't see Lesnar jobbing out to fucking MJF. I can't see Roman Reigns jobbing to MJF. But at that point, in a year and a half, obviously, they'll be pushing Austin Theory. Austin Theory will be getting a bigger push. Cody, you'd imagine, would still be around. Seth Rollins. I mean, obviously, a lot can change in bloody 16, 17 months, But, I mean, there's a chance there, though, for AEW to do something cool. And then, and this is, the whole thing with the MJF character being... I mean, this is how I see it anyway, that he believes that he's beneath AEW. He sees, AEW is beneath him, And WWE's the big leagues, and that's where he wants to go, and that's kind of the gimmick. But then, if MJF becomes this anti-hero, then it becomes a point where he actually realizes, hang on, I love AEW, I love this place. But MJF is definitely a guy, though, yeah, he acts in character most of the time, but then there's times where I see him online, and then he's tweeting these nerd wrestling journalists, and I'm thinking, well, that's not fucking staying in character exactly, you know what I mean? Like, you could do a little bit of a better job staying in character. Like, if you're going to be staying in character, go all the way with it, you know what I mean? Don't just half-ass it. But then, there's certain things with MJF I'll never understand. Like, I'll never understand him trying to put over the whole thing about him, Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin are like the pillars of AEW. like when he's like this ultimate heel prick, and then he's going out of his way to put over other baby faces. Like, I don't get that. Like, they could have gone about a different way of doing that whole pillars of AEW BS. And I didn't get that, but that's maybe just me nitpicking. But they could have a chance there to do something. I mean, they could have Tony Khan be the heel prick owner boss. Okay, he's never going to come off like a Vince McMahon, but you could have him be a heel in his own goofy, nerdy way, and then the fans ultimately turn on him. Have him align him, put him out there with Omega, with that whole elite gang, and then you could at one point, and then you could even have the elite go up against the Pinnacle. You could bring back the Pinnacle. You got FTR who are baby faces now, so you could have them get back together with MJF, and then ultimately you could have MJF and Wardlow shake hands and hug and make up. Even throw in Sean Spears, and then have them go up against the elite. It could work. I mean, it's something. But they definitely could have something there with an MJF. I mean, if this, whether it's a work, whether it's a shoot, just run with it, I mean, that's what made the Attitude Era so great, did it not? With, when you think back, when you had, like, I mean, maybe the best example is Brett and Shawn, because Brett and Shawn couldn't stand one another. And that's why it was, at that time, it would have been real compelling television to watch them, Like that's the kind of shit you need to do to get people invested, think outside the box, Don't just do this total, we got to have the best wrestling bollocks, and the forbidden door. It's like, who cares? If you want to do that whole real wrestling shit, keep that on the Ring of Honor, and then bring in the guys that work in New Japan for that. But I think, you've got a good, there's an opportunity there to do something really good with MJF. I would say, he was getting cheered. You heard the MJF chants when he was doing the promo. I don't think they saw that coming. But run with it, If the fans are liking him, do it. I mean, you already listened to the fans when you turned Sammy and Ty Conti heel. So they definitely, it's not like they'll ignore the fans. But I think, like, I think they missed a trick there. If MJF's just at home there twiddling his thumbs because they want people to really believe that this is real and there's been a falling out, I think we'll treat it like it's just a television show and we're really just looking forward to seeing it. Don't just pander to the smart mark fans, who want to believe it's a shoot, like, fucking Meltzer and Keller want to believe that. But, that's the feeling I had when I heard MJF cut that promo. I want to tune in next week and I want to see what MJF does. And you've got to give people that feeling again. Give people that feeling. Because they're not going to give a shit about who so-and-so wrestling or what, Ethan Page wrestling so-and-so. And it's the same applies with WWE. I mean, who cares about seeing Mustafa Ali and Austin Theory for the 6th time? But give people that feeling of, hey, I want to tune in next week because I want to see what MJF does. I want to see how Tony Khan, what he'll do in response to what MJF said, something like that. And then you can get people like me who, I did have an interest there in AEW. I thought there was some potential there with the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle. But then that kind of was a bit of a letdown in the end. But if you get people emotionally invested again, and then, if you do it right with MJF, this whole MJF thing, and you could have work the whole angle there with Tony Khan. They could have something really good on their hands there. Could have something real entertaining right there. But guys, though, those are my thoughts. I hope you like this video. I'll maybe do a few other wrestling related videos. Talk a little bit more about AEW. I watch AEW is really the promotion